Very enlightening. Gopi sir, a very straightforward question. Are we making right investments for us to get to 2036 in terms of infrastructure and also athletes' mindset like Saurav spoke about?
Well, I think what Adil sir spoke or what Mahesh and Saurav have spoken, I think not much to add from my side because I think we're all talking the same language. I think each sport has its own challenges. Some of the biggest sports with the biggest medals, we don't even have representations enough to even think of big medals. So where are the reference points? Do we have a champion to refer to? Do we have a level where we think we can go? So some sports have inspirational issues. Some sports have cracked the inspiration part. We have people coming into grassroots levels and again, going back, I would say, how do they get from there to the next level? Some sports, we don't have basic coaching and expertise in the country, so we need everything abroad. And so that's what Saurav was talking about. I think, in all, I think each sport needs a pathway. Each sport needs focused attention. Each sport needs to be clear where they are with no ambiguity, be clear where you want to be, and people who know the path, who have done the path, should actually be given total responsibility and accountability to take us through to the next generation, next, say, 12 years or so. We've done very well in the last 12 years. Unfortunately, the 6 medals in London remained 6. That is also the reality. We can talk whatever language we want, but the reality is we have 6 in London, 6 now, minus Russia and Ukraine in some sense. So we are not very sure we made any progress. So we are expecting another 12 years, the 6 to be 60. I think we should really be careful about dreaming that dream unless we make fundamental changes in the way we are thinking. If the way we are going is what we expect the results to be 10x, I'm afraid it's not going to happen. How many administrators are there in this country? And it's a very important part. How many administrators are there in the country who are really world class, who know the process? How many coaches are there in the country who are world class? How many storytelling people are there in the country? It's very important that you need people in that space. How many of them have you nurtured? How many of them have we respected to keep them as part of it? How many entrepreneurs in sport, how many corporates in sport have we really respected? I think that's a very important fundamental question, and the last few days I've been talking about it. When you inspire so many people to play, then they need exit. Adil talked about 22-year-olds being played. So if you have actually not gone to school very well in your academic career, till 22 and 23, how do you manage your next 60 years of your life? So that's a very fundamental issue. With the growth of sport, you need to address all these issues. Self-healing is okay, but I think not everybody can heal themselves. So I think it's a very dangerous ploy to cover our mistakes.
Again, very enlightening. Prantik, over to you now.
Oh, thank you. Mahesh, I have a question for you. I mean, in Olympics, we've got, thanks to Leander Pace, Atlanta 96. Then, of course, him and yourself, you all had a great, doubles sort of phase in the Olympics as well. We didn't get the medal. There was, of course, in Rio 2016, Sania Bopana, they lost, but they reached the bronze medal match. But thereafter, in tennis, we haven't seen much action thereafter. My question is twofold, right? Assuming that, the challenges in the systems have been there for a long while, but we had that golden phase. So was that luck? Was that despite the system? What is the message to a 15-year-old Maya who's doing well, who's coming up the ranks? What's a message for some, not just for her, but the fraternity and the young talent that's coming? They're not going to be able to change the system, but what's the message for the 15-year-old Mayas who are attempting a medal at some of the upcoming Olympics?
It's flattering, you guys calling it the golden phase, even though we didn't win any goals, but that's, yeah, I think, Leander had, generational talent when it came to his talent, his speed at the net. Sania again, once in a lifetime story for girl coming and being a top 30 singles player. So, you're just naming anomalies. I think Maya is another one, right? Coming from Coimbatore and creating waves like she did a few weeks ago. I think she's made the best move possible by moving to Spain and, training at Rafa's academy. Everyone's super excited. Tennis is one of the biggest sports in the world, and we're excited about one player. You see, that's the tragedy here. That's the way it's going to be. Like, the last question I answered also referred to a system. We don't have that system. In the US today, in France, Spain, you've got 30 to 40 Mayas in men and women, right? We have one. We have, luckily for her, she's got, people lined up at the door to give her every thing she needs monetarily. Rafa has given her a scholarship for a year. And we'll just keep our fingers crossed and pray that she makes it.
All right. So I guess a story of anomalies until we have that system. Mr. Gopichand, you spoke about inspiration. Now, is it fair to say that in badminton, we have broken that barrier? We've got medals. What will it take a Lakshya Sen? I mean, stupendous talent, was there watching that game. What would it take a Satvik Chirag to sort of cross that chasm, so to speak? Because I think folks like yourselves, folks like Sindhu, Nehwal, they've paved that path. But how do we make sure the fourth medals we get onto the podium?
We need to create enough bench strength so that the next person challenges the top players here. We need more Satviks and Chirags. We need more Lakshya Sens for the Lakshya Sens and Satvik Chirag to perform. I think that's the best thing we can do. We need to invest in the ecosystem. We need to get more people up the ranks, up there, who are challenging our top players and also the rest of the world as well. One won't make it. I think we need more people there.
Once again, going back to bench strength, Saurav, I'll come to you first as an active athlete. I mean, like you said, LA is going to be the first time that squash sort of, makes it there. So you don't have that necessary inspiration or sort of precedence, so to speak, from Indian squash. What are the sports? Who else sort of does the squash fraternity look out for in terms of inspiration? Because you want to make the most of that one chance right at the first, right? So for the Indian squash fraternity to sort of make it big, make it to the podium idly, where's the inspiration and support coming from?
I think in terms of inspiration, you're looking at all the other sports that we are doing well in. Badminton's a great example. I know, Satvik and Chirag, I keep going on about them because they were my pick for a definite gold at the Olympics this time, and unfortunately it didn't happen for them. But, what they've done over the last, 12 to 18 months preceding the Olympics was brilliant. I mean, I was watching it and I was getting inspired that, these guys, and it's not been done in Indian doubles badminton before, right, at the men's level. Obviously, there is Neeraj Chopra, who's, done 2 back-to-back, like a PV Sindhu. So I think you're looking for inspiration from all corners. And I don't think you're just looking at who's doing it from India. I think you're looking at it from every other country as well. There are so many inspiring stories, that keep coming about at every Olympic Games and in between as well. And each individual, I think, resonates with a different story because different stories touch people in different ways, right? So I think as long as you keep your eyes and ears peeled and have this kind of open mindset that, you can learn from different places. And again, we are a racket sport. It doesn't necessarily have to be a racket sport. It could be anything else as well, right? So if you have that open mindset, I think inspiration is available all around us. This is a bit philosophical, but sometimes, I look at people on the road, right? Just walking on the road, right? And I just look at like their expressions and, I just kind of try and do a backstory in my mind of, where they are in life and what they've done to get there and what the struggles that they are going through and all of that. And now that might not be, a vivid gold medal, but in my mind, I create this positive story in my head where they've pretty much come from nothing and they've made something of themselves. And in a lot of ways, inspiration in life gives me a lot more inspiration than what someone has done on a playing field. So I think, at the end of the day, if you really want something, you will find ways to inspire yourself. The key is to find ways consistently enough to be inspired and to kind of keep working hard, because you don't wake up every morning thinking that, yeah, I'm going for Olympic gold in 28 and I'm going to kill myself today and do everything I can. You have lull days, and if you can get those inspirational moments or stories in your mind from any corner, I think it just helps you kind of get through those bad days, right? I mean, I don't want to say bad days, but those lull days. And like anyone at the top will tell you, the ones who do it on those lull days, that's what you're putting into the bank. It's like you're putting, how we put money into the bank and it matures at some point in time. That's the best investments you make, because everyone can do it on their best days. It's a question of, can you do it on your worst days? And that's what at least for me, those are the days which truly show to me internally, not to anyone else, whether I can do it or not.
Very well said. Inspiration is everywhere. Adil, one final question for you in terms of prioritization. Assuming we are, hosting the Olympics, clearly the consensus is that we should use that as an impetus. Is India prioritizing its investments in the right sports? Because obviously, when I was in Paris, whether at para or able-bodied, whether it's athletics, swimming, cycling, there are certain sports where there are plenty of medals, but India doesn't participate. Would you change that prioritization?
You have to. If you don't look at sports where there are multiple medals, you're not going to get the medals you want to get. Okay. So today there are 3 categories that federations have been put in. Okay, high priority, etc., etc. Okay, the high priority, they are winning medals, so you give them what they need, but then that does not mean you don't look at the others. And there is enough money. So it's not the question of money. Today, our whole system is individual-led. It has to be a process-led. There has to be an ecosystem. When I mean an ecosystem, there's the athlete, there's the coach, there's the physio, there's the masseur, there is a trainer, there's a strength and conditioning trainer, there are doctors, there are managers. Unless you strengthen that whole ecosystem, unless you strengthen the federations, and you support the federation and make sure that if you're supporting them, they are going to create the ecosystem. They are best placed in the system to create that ecosystem. If they're not working well, pull them up. There are good federations and not so good federations. Instead of destroying them, all you need to do is bring them onto the table, support them, and make sure we expect 1, 2, 3 out of you. So, if you look at any of the countries where they're doing well, it's the federations that lead the way. I'm not talking about a communist country like China or Russia or something like that. But any democracy that you see doing well is because they've strengthened the federations. Unless you do that, and I know that there are not some good federations, pull them up. But they have the wherewithal because they are affiliated to the international. There's a lot of things that flow from international. People from outside trying to run sport is not going to work. They think they know, they don't. So, that's what I said, you need to create a robust ecosystem. Unless you do that and stop being individual-led, you're not going to change. Nothing is going to happen. You're going to remain the same.
Thank you so much for that. As we come to sort of wrap up this, a quick one-phrase, one-line answer in terms of wish list for 2036 if India is hosting. Mahesh, your wish list.
15 medals.
15 medals. Gopi, are you happy with the jump from 6 to 15? Your wish list?
I think get the process sorted first. And once you have the medals, what will you do with the inspiration of the rest of the people? I think this conversation has to happen simultaneously.
Well said.
No, just fix the system. The system will get you the medals. If the process is right, medals will come. So I'm not going to talk about How many medals, which I've never done before every Olympics, I'm asked that question. Fix the process, end result will happen. And once that happens, how do you take it to the next step? Not what we did after the Commonwealth Games. We got the medals, it reflected in London. Then one of the reasons why we did in London well was because of that. Then you destroyed the system. You destroyed the Olympic Committee. Olympic Committee was suspended by the International Olympic Committee. There was just nonsense that we did. And then you saw Rio, what happened. You were destroyed in Rio. Then we started, the Mission Olympic cell was formed then. I'm still there, I've been from then. And slowly we built up to wherever we've reached. But you can't destroy what you already have. And we went out of our way to destroy it.
Thank you. Saurabh, your wish list of hope?
I think I have to concur with Gopi sir and Adil sir. I think, having a wish list of a medal is like almost like something, floating in the air. I think doing something now is important, and starting on that journey in terms of the process and the system is paramount. And I think like what they've kind of like harped upon repeatedly is to be able to leverage what we achieve, whatever we achieve. I mean, whether it's 6, 10, 15, 30, whatever it is, right? It's about leveraging that success through the systems that have been created, and creating a legacy, so that that legacy will pull us through for years to come, to kind of have something which is enduring. That's the sign of a great country, a great company, a great sport, and life in general. If you can endure, that's when you're really going to be successful. So hopefully that will happen for us.
Thank you so much. As we wrap this up, I think the lessons are fairly clear. The writing's on the wall that India should host the 2036 Olympics, to be a superpower, to sort of develop our soft power, also to use it as an impetus for development and growth. I think so 3-4 key points was inspiration is everywhere. I'll remember that. But it needs to start with the federation. Gopichand sir spoke about the fact that we should take lessons from CWG. We hosted well, but the question begs is, what do we do thereafter to leverage that success? And of course, process, something you always sort of remind us about. If we fix the process, the results will show. And Mahesh, I think very well said about the fact that for Amaya today, she has to sort of work with the Rafael Nadal and the foreign academies, but to move away from the anomalies, we need to again build that system and a strong pipeline that challenges the Lakshyas and the Satvik Chirags. Ladies and gentlemen, that brings us to the end of this panel. Thank you so much. Please give a big round of applause to my fellow panelists. Thank you.